Yo, what's poppin'? What's going on? It's your boy, Mr. Locario, the bad boy of the dating game. Was good. So it's that time again where I drop my new bad boy membership program. This one's called Understanding Patterns, How to Predict Your Outcomes with Women. Okay, so guys, this one right here is so deep. You understand? You need to get on a Bad Boy membership right now. Go to badboymembership.com to check out this program. So basically what this program is about is understanding patterns in the game so that you can predict what's going to actually happen. Yes, this is how you can do this stuff. So for example, I had a friend who used to go out to the bars, to the clubs or whatever, and maybe 8 to 9 times out of 10, he'd be able to pull a chick that same night. Why? Because he understood patterns, right? I'm going to be talking about that in this program, right? If you are in a drought, how to get out of that drought quickly, you'll be able to do that. Why? Because you understand patterns. Make sure you watch this quick clip. After you watch this clip, go to badboymembership.com or click the link below so that you can join the Bad Boy membership so you can watch this program plus all the other audio and video dating advice tutorials. All right, check this out. When you have game, you are the outcome. Now, what does that mean, Mr. Locario? That means that whatever outcomes you want to happen, you can create those outcomes and make those outcomes happen. So therefore, when you realize that you can create the outcome, you're not dependent upon the outcome, right? Because you know you can create that outcome. So you're not really dependent upon it to define you because you understand that you create those things and you make those things happen. So for example, you know, if a person's like, man, you know, I would love to, have an egg sandwich, right? And I'm so dependent on the outcome of having an egg sandwich. If they know the steps on how to acquire eggs and make an egg sandwich, right, then they're not really dependent upon the outcome because they know the outcome is going to happen because they know they have the skill to actually make an egg sandwich. You see what I'm saying? So if they know how to make the egg sandwich, they know that the outcome is going to be they're going to have an egg sandwich on their plate. Right? So they're not really depending or hoping that the outcome happens. They know the outcome is going to happen as a result of them knowing how to make the eggs, right? So now when it comes to the game, when you know how to do certain things, right, then you're going to get a certain outcome based on you knowing how to do certain things. And one of the things that, makes it happen or, makes this a thing where you can sort of understand where a particular situation is going to go, right, is when you understand patterns. So you know that if I do this, and this, then this is most likely going to happen. If I see this, and this going on, this is usually the outcome of these types of situations, right? But a lot of guys, they don't really understand this. And this is why you can have a guy who is, a novice, a guy who doesn't really know too much, right? And something will happen and he doesn't understand how it happened, right? So he, for example, was at a party at a bar or something, and, he happened to end up talking to some girl. The girl was really, really into him. And he's like, wow, that was amazing. I hooked up with that girl, but, it's been 2-3 years since anything like that has happened again. And the reason why is because he doesn't know how it happened. He didn't understand what was going on, so he can't actually replicate that same thing to make it happen again, right? So now, when you have game, you understand patterns. So then you have another guy, this guy has game. He can go out, right, every weekend, and he knows what to do, what to say, the things to look out for in order to increase the chances of him being able to take a woman home every weekend. Right. So that first guy who doesn't have game, he had it happen one time 2 years ago. The guy who has game, he knows how to make it happen, at least once a week, every weekend. You understand? And that's because the guy who's advanced, who has game, understands patterns. You see what I'm saying? So now what I'm going to do is in this program, I'm going to talk about, 7 different types of patterns that will happen in the game. And if you understand this and you take heed to this, then you're going to be able to, predict your outcomes by taking certain steps and making certain things happen, right? So let's just jump right into this because we got a lot to cover, a whole lot to cover, right? And now what I want to say about this program is understand that some of the things that I talk about are things that I've talked about on live streams, but I'm going deeper into it to get you to understand on a deeper level. And there are some things that I'm going to be talking about in this program that I have never talked about ever on a live stream ever, you understand, or in a video ever on YouTube or Instagram, Facebook, or whatever it is like that. So this is why it's good that you are on the membership, so you're able to get this type of information. All right. So now let's just jump right into this. And now this is in no order of importance. We're going to go 1 through 7, and we're going to talk about the different patterns that will happen in the game. Right. So now the first thing we have on the list is the numbers game pattern. The numbers game pattern. Right. So what is the numbers game pattern? So the numbers game pattern is when you understand how using the numbers game can predict, right, the number of women that you're going to be able to sleep with and, hook up with and make things happen with. So it's going to show you the number of women that you're going to be able to attract that are highly interested in you. Because, I tell you guys about, dealing with women who have high interest, dealing with women who really want to, get with you and make things happen. Right. But a lot of you guys don't understand that if you play the numbers game, right, and you really know how to do this, then you can predict, right, how many women you're going to get, and you'll understand the work you need to put in order to get a specific amount of women that you want to, make shit happen with. Right. So what is the numbers game pattern? So basically it's you playing the numbers game and then being able to calculate, right, the success that you're having while playing the numbers game, right? So, for example, let's say a guy is out there and he's, approaching, 100 women, right? So he's like, each weekend I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna approach 100 women, right? So he goes out this weekend, he approaches 100 women, right? Out of those 100 women, he ends up sleeping with one woman, right? So that means he's sleeping with one woman out of 100. So then he goes out the next week, right? He approaches another 100 women. Out of those 100 women, he ends up sleeping with one woman, right? Now he goes out again the next weekend. He approaches another 100 women. He ends up sleeping with one woman. So what is the pattern here that we're seeing? The pattern is for every 100 women, he sleeps with one woman. So now let's say he's like, you know what? I want to be able to sleep with 500 women. I mean, not 500 women. He wants to sleep with 5 women. Well, he could sleep with 500 women, but let's calm down a little. So let's say he says, I want to sleep with 5 women. So if he knows that for every 100 women, he sleeps with one woman. If he wants to sleep with 5 women, what does he have to do? He has to approach 500 women, right? Now you'll probably be like, Locario, but that's so many women that you got to approach in order to, sleep with just 5 women. Now, I'm using this as a simple example because, this is like for the average guy, he may need to do all of that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? As far as approaching 100 women to get one, right? Now, understand, the numbers game is unavoidable. So everybody has to play the numbers game. Now, what happens is that if you say to yourself, okay, I'm going out and I'm approaching all these women, and I notice that for every 100 women, I get one woman who wants to sleep with me, right? So then you say, damn, I want to get like 5 women. That means you have to approach 500 women, right? So what you're doing is that you're able to predict, right, the outcome based on you seeing the patterns, right? So the pattern is for every 100 women I talk to, I sleep with one. Now, let's say you say, damn, you know what? Like, I want to up the numbers. Like, I want to be able to get more than one woman out of 100, right? So then what will happen is that you need to say to yourself, okay, I'm doing these things. I'm doing A, B, and C. And A, B, and C, the result of doing A, B, and C is every 100 women I approach, I get one, right? So now what happens is that if you want to get more than one, what might need to happen is that you might need to do D, E, and F. You understand? So you can do A, B, and C and add D, E, and F, or you can totally get rid of A, B, and C and do D, E, and F instead, right? So what happens is, for example, let's say the reason why you're only getting 1 out of 100 is because when you approach women, right, you are you still are super nervous. You don't know what to really say and your mouthpiece isn't tight, right? So now let's say you start tightening up your mouthpiece and you start dressing better and smelling better. Then what happens is instead of 1 out of 100, right, you might get 8 out of 100 or 10 out of 100. You see what I'm saying? So now instead of it being 1 out of 100, right, you're getting 10 out of 100. So now if you want to sleep with 20 women, right, you only need to approach 200 women, right? Because for every 100, you're getting 10. Whereas before, for every 100, you were getting 1. You see what I'm saying? And so what happens is that when you understand the patterns that are happening when you're doing these things, then you're able to accurately predict what you need to do in order to get a specific outcome, right? You can also do this with online dating. Like if you're on an online dating site, you say, okay, I'm spending an hour a day swiping on all of these, 5, 6 different sites, right? And then so what I noticed is that every time I spend an hour swiping on, all these different sites, every day I end up with a combined number of 10 matches. So then you say, okay, cool. Out of these 10 matches, I end up on a date with one girl, right? So all you're doing is looking at, I put this amount of work in, I get this amount of matches. Out of this amount of matches, I'm getting this, amount of dates. So if you want more dates, right, then what you would need to do is that you would need to get more matches. If you want to get more matches, you would need to put in more hours. So basically what happens is that you gain an understanding that when I do this, this happens. When I do that, that happens. And then you start to see the patterns that are going on within that situation. And so if you want a specific outcome, you have to do a specific thing. And you notice that when you're doing that specific thing, you're getting that outcome. So a lot of times what happens is the reason why a lot of guys have trouble in the game is because they don't understand this. So you have a guy out there who he doesn't realize that he needed to approach 100 women to get one. So he approaches 4 women and all 4 of them reject him. And then now he wants to give up because he didn't understand patterns. You see what I'm saying? He didn't understand this, right? And so what happens is understanding this makes it easier for you to predict what is the most likely situation to happen. Now, you're probably saying, well, Locario, what if I approach, 500 women and I'm not getting any? Or what if I'm on a dating app and I'm swiping and I'm on there for every day for like an hour or so and I'm still not getting any matches, right? Now, if that type of thing is happening, then what happens is that you're doing something terribly wrong, because in most cases, right, it is rare for you to approach that many women and not get any, right? Or be on a dating app and doing all those things correctly and not getting anything going on. You understand what I'm saying? So there's something you're doing within the situation that is terribly wrong. So for example, if you're on a dating app and you're swiping for an hour, 5 days a week, and you get no matches, you understand, which is in most cases, that's like super, super rare. But let's just go with it, because this is how guys think. This is how you guys think who don't understand this. So let's just go and with this crazy number of I've been swiping for an hour every day on a dating app. My pictures are on point. My bio is on point. Everything is on point, and I'm swiping, right? What happens is that you're saying your stuff is on point, but it's probably not on point. You understand what I'm saying? So if I was to see what was going on, there's something you need to fix in order to get the results, right? Same thing with your approaching women. There's certain things that you're doing that, are not on point. Sometimes the thing that you're doing that's not on point is you're not actually playing the numbers game in order to see the patterns. So you have guys, they'll say, oh, but Locario, I approached, 100 women, but they really approached 33. You understand? Oh, Locario, I was on these dating apps and I'm not getting any matches, but they only been on the app for 20 minutes one time on Tuesday evening. That was it. You understand? So what you got to understand is that you got to really actually put in the work so that you can see the result, so that you can understand the pattern. Once you understand the pattern, then you can move on and you can actually do the thing you need to do to get more and more of that success in those situations, right? So that's number one. Number one is the numbers game pattern, right? Now, number two is something that's very interesting that I want to go into that I really have never really talked about publicly. And it's very important to know, because once you know this, right, this will change the way that you're able to attract, multiple women who desire you. You understand what I'm saying? And so once you understand this thing, it's going to really change your game forever. Okay. So now number two, the second thing we have on the list